It's time for the 49ers Rush podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
All right, 49ers fans, welcome back to another episode of the 49ers Rush podcast. I'm your host, John Chapman, and we got some great stuff for you today, and I found a new way. Let's see how it goes. I'm hoping to show some clips of the game here soon. We will see how it goes. We're going to try to jump in and out just to make sure that we cover a lot of different bases here, but what we're going to be doing today is covering the absolute dismantling of the Packers, 37-8 against the number 2 seed in the NFC. Now what we have to do is we have to move on to the number 2 seed in the AFC, just to constantly prove to everybody how great this 49ers team is. If there are still doubters out there, I can tell you two things about them. One, they don't watch football, or two, they are just trying to piss people off so that they can get more clicks. So do not feed into that. The Stephen A. Smiths of the world who do not watch football and don't care about any type of integrity, journalistic integrity whatsoever. They just want to piss people off so they click and retweet. Don't fall into that. Leave those people out of it. The Ryan Clarks, all those guys, I have them blocked on Twitter. I only see them when people at me with one of their videos or whatever, and usually I'll click on it and it is trash. It's absolutely trash takes back to back. Don't fall into that trap. The 49ers are 10-1. Great week ahead. The 49ers can be one of the first teams to clinch a playoff berth this week. There are two ways. One, if the 49ers beat the Ravens and or tie the Ravens, they are locked into a playoff berth. Or if the Rams lose or tie, also another way of making sure the 49ers are in the playoffs. Nobody in hell predicted 10-1. I'm sure somebody now is going to at me. No, I did. Look. And if you did, that's awesome. That is great. The 49ers have gone above and beyond what has happened this year. 37-8 against the Packers at home on Sunday Night Football was huge. No doubt about that. So we've got a lot of stuff. We're going to focus on the offensive side. We're going to get to some questions, comments. I'm going to throw some clips up here in a second. But before we do that, we have to thank our sponsor that makes all of this possible. Just want to say thanks. The 49ers Rush podcast could not take place without Manscaped. Manscaped.com, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. You got to protect those bad boys. So here's the deal. Nobody wants to cut your private parts whenever you're trying to clean up down there. It's just hygiene. You got to do what you got to do. So that's why Manscaped redesigned the electric trimmer, the Lawnmower 2.0. I have it. I use it. It is wonderful. It's proprietary skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't nick or snag your jewels down below. It's 100% waterproof, so you can do it in the shower. Makes cleanup easy. It's fast, easy, safe, and it doesn't hurt. So head over to manscaped.com. They have everything. Your male grooming or female grooming you could use, they got it all. Use promo code 49ers. You will receive 20% off and free shipping with the code 49ers over at manscaped.com. Always use the right tools for the job. Your balls will thank you later. Again, manscaped.com. Head over there. Use promo code 49ers. Now, let's see if this is going to work. Here we go. Yes, it is working today. This is great. So just finished up my breakdown. That's going to be over on the Patreon account. So if you want to join that and hear all of that, that's fine. But I wanted to put up some of the clips you're going to see here as we go through the offensive game and just break down different plays. So if you have questions or if you want to know the audio breakdown and all that stuff, that's for my Patreon members. It's $8 a month. That's the Frank Gore tier. Shout out again to Frank Gore, moving to third all-time on the all-time rushing list. But I do 2 of these breakdowns a week, a full offense, which I did today. I'm going to post immediately after this episode. I'll do a defensive one tomorrow. And then all throughout the offseason, I will be breaking down draft videos and film highlights. So it's an extra way just to get you guys more content that you can't put up everywhere across the web. And also it supports the podcast. All those proceeds go 100% to the podcast and more equipment, namely broadcasting. We got a huge game this week. We are going to be broadcasting on Hot Mic. So if for some reason you don't live in the San Francisco area and you want to watch the game, go over, download the Hot Mic app. If you have an iPhone, use promo code RUSHESF. It's free, and you'll be able to listen to play-by-play. So even if you don't have NFL Sunday Ticket or you can't get to a sports bar to watch the game and you're out of market, again, it's only going to be played predominantly in San Francisco and Baltimore. So if you're not in one of those 2 territories, just pop your headphones in, and we will cover that for you. So we're going to be covering that there. So let's jump in real quick. Let's talk through some offensive stuff. We're going to go over some Pro Football Focus scores, some stats, and questions. And got to start off with my boy 90 by Nature. Really do appreciate it. He is always the first one, and it seems like him and Nick really appreciate you guys fighting for that first spot every time. Is Debo our number 1 receiver? I think that it clearly, if you look statistically, that's definitely the case. If you look at the impact that they have had now, the one game against the Cardinals, you could have argued, yeah, it looks like Emmanuel Sanders is going to be our guy. But the difference between that was Kittle was out. So just from a metric standpoint, okay, target-wise is going to tell you who the first receiver is. George Kittle wins that. He has 63 targets on the season to Deebo Samuel's 55. So even though Debo has played more games this year, he's played 10 to Kittle's 9. Kittle's the number 1 wide receiving option, even though he's a tight end. Then it goes Deebo Samuel. Then after that, it's Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders saw a little bit of a drop back this week. He was not the premier focus receiving option that we were used to seeing. He did still play very, very well, but Emmanuel Sanders only got 1 target, and that was on the very first series. He caught a slant route for 15 yards, kind of a drag route, a little bit more than a slant route for 15 yards. He only had 1 target, whereas if you look at Deebo Samuel, not much more. He only got 2 targets. The efficiency of this game for the 49ers was something special because what they were able to do was Jimmy Garoppolo only threw the ball 20 times. But 250-plus yards, 2 touchdowns, that is key. His quarterback rating was a 145.8, which was the highest of his entire career. So even though they weren't throwing the ball around a ton, they were able to accomplish a lot very efficiently. I put out this tweet earlier, and I did it about a month ago, and it was most accurate completion percentage on deep balls. Deep balls are balls that travel 20-plus yards in the air. Guess who was number 1? Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, do they throw the ball deep a lot? No, they don't. There are teams that have twice as many deep passes, but Jimmy Garoppolo is averaging a 75% completion percentage. So even though they're not doing it all the time, his completions still surpass those of guys that are chunking the ball, 40 times downfield. He has 24 deep passes on the season, mind you, or completions. And so even though we're not chunking it deep, it doesn't matter because when they do, it matters. You get a 61-yard touchdown from George Kittle. That's the kind of plays that's going to happen when you're playing the way that you are. So back to your question of who is the number 1 wide receiver, it goes in this order. You have Kittle, then you have Debo, then you have Sanders, and then everybody else, or AYOs as we call them, all you others. There are very few people that matter in this offense. Then there's just some Jags, just a guy, right? A couple coaching terms there. Kendrick Bourne offers a big body. Richie James hopefully will start to get a little bit more work. But when you look at guys like Pettis or Marquise Goodwin, they're kind of turning into just a guy. And so hopefully they can get out of that just a little bit. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Let's see here. If the Browns can beat the Ravens, why can't we? Awesome point, Nick. And I agree with you. I really, really do. The Browns play is very similar to what we do on defense. From their strength is their front seven. Not anymore with Myles Garrett out, but whatever. And the way in which the Browns were able to beat the Ravens, and they beat them handedly, was by running the ball very, very well and getting pressure on the quarterback with only bringing forward. They didn't blitz a lot. The 49ers don't blitz a lot. We bring Fred Warner some. We bring Kwan Williams some. But not a heavy blitzing team, the 49ers. We do our damage with our front four, and if you look at it, I haven't finished my breakdown of the Ravens by any stretch, but if you look at it, they just lost Matt School. So they're not one of those teams whose offense is doing great. We talk injuries all the time, and the 49ers have a lot of injuries. That's very, very true, but the Ravens do too. And they just lost a huge key piece on their offensive series because their center's out, and they're going to be replacing them with the undrafted free agent. So anyway, Niner by nature, that shirt again. Not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I appreciate it. I think you're talking trash on me. Well, you better watch out, Nick, or I'm coming for you. Do you think Goodwin plays next week? No, I don't. Julian Taylor, we did lose somebody this week, Demontre Moore, who we just signed. He is on injured reserve. He had surgery. He is done. It does look like they're going to be pulling up Jeremiah Valoga, which another guy that performed very well through training camp and preseason that we were able to stash on our practice squad. The 49ers used their practice squad. It's huge. And so we constantly are bringing guys up. If you are an unrestricted free agent, undrafted free agent, you want to go to the 49ers. We use our practice squad more than anybody in the NFL. So it's next man up mentality. Now, hopefully, D Ford will be back this week. That's the key one that we are looking at. It'd be nice if we could get back Joe Staley, but I would like to wait one more week, especially with Bronskill playing, amazingly well in that second half. So here we go. Let's see. Do you think the 49ers travel out east early to get adjusted to the time zone? I really hope we do. This is one of the very first times that the schedule is kind of on our side because, and I get it, it's an East Coast early game. We're traveling across 3 time zones, but for the first time, we're not playing a team off a bye. We're not playing a team with an extended, mini bye week coming off Thursday. We're playing a team that played Monday. So technically, we have an extra day of rest over the Ravens, but the early kickoff is stupid. I do hate that, but, this is a little bit of a wash. And Vegas, I don't want to jump too much into our betting segment right now, but let's just natural transition over. The Baltimore Ravens, money is going on their side dramatically. It seems like the NFL hype machine has taken full effect for the Ravens and not the 49ers, and that's a great thing. So as of right now, if you head over to mybookie.ag, use promo code 49ers, of course, we are 6-point underdogs. What the hell? We just dismantled the number 2 team in the NFC East. Now we're almost a full touchdown underdogs. We were 4.5 points before Monday Night Football, and somehow Baltimore, they did what they did to the Rams, who I don't think are very good, but now they're 6-point favorites. That's fine. Keep bringing those points that way. I have already bet 3 times on the 49ers because they keep adding points. If it jumps up to 6.5, I'm going to bet it again. I think it's going to be a closer game than people want to attest to. I get it. Lamar Jackson's the MVP right now. That's great. But they keep discounting the 49ers. I don't understand the 6-point spread against the Niners, but we've been relatively respected by Vegas and the money all season long. This is kind of the very first, not necessarily slap in the face, but really? If you watch the 49ers against Green Bay, then you watch the Ravens against the Rams, you've got to be thinking, man, these 2 teams are juggernauts. This is going to be awesome. You don't watch those 2 games and then say, oh, wow, the Ravens are going to kill the 49ers. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm telling you right now, I am putting my money on the 49ers with that spread. And a couple other things this week with it being Thanksgiving. Staying with my bookie, we have to talk about this, okay, because this is stupid. This week only, my bookie is offering a risk-free bet on the Bears-Lions game. So it's a 3-point spread. They play the early game on Thanksgiving. So it's a 12:30. So it's going to be a 9:30 kickoff Thanksgiving morning. The Detroit Lions are +3, so basically the Bears are -3. So you have to bet against the spread, but here's what's crazy. Let's say you bet it up to $250. You can put $250 down on this game either side as long as you bet the spread. You have to click on the -3 or the +3 on my bookie. You win, you keep it. You lose, they pay you back all the money. This is insane. I am starting an account for my wife just so I can get this money. If they're going to give it away, that's fine with me. So what you do is you head over to mybookie.ag, use promo code 49ers. First off, they're going to match your initial deposit. So if you open it with $125, they're going to match and add an extra $125. So now you have $250. You bet all $250 on this game, and if you win, now you have $500. If you lose, you get all $250 back for free. It's free. I don't understand, but please head over there, mybookie.ag, use promo code 49ers, and then bet that game. The Detroit game is huge this week, okay? And you can pick either side. I'm telling you right now, it seems like Matthew Stafford is not going to be back, but I do not believe in the Chicago Bears. I am taking the Detroit Lions, who play everybody close. I am taking the Lions on Thanksgiving. I want the points. I'm betting Detroit Lions +3 currently. We'll see what happens throughout the week with some injuries and updates, but that's kind of where I am going over there. Now, let's go over to Pro Football Focus. I want to talk about this just for a quick minute. The top 5 and bottom 5 rated players, again, going back to the win against Green Bay. Obviously, number 1, George Kittle. Wow, 90.8 grade. The only one above 80 on the offensive grading scale, which I was a little bummed about, but Jimmy Garoppolo got credited with one of those sacks. I think that hurt. And then the fumbled snap, that one kind of went against him as well. I think that hurt. But anyway, George Kittle, still the number 1 rated player for Pro Football Focus. Number 2 is Jimmy Garoppolo, 78.1. Mike McGlinchey, he responded very well. Bad game coming back. He looked great. And again, if you're watching these highlights as they're going across, you can see him constantly just getting to the second level run blocking. Great game, 75.7. Brunskill came in. A lot of people don't know this. Justin School was playing hurt, okay? He had a ridiculous, thigh bruise that he played through and was limping. You could see him going back to the huddle. He gets yanked in the second quarter after he gave up the sack and the holding call. They put Brunskill in. Brunskill dominated. So currently, the whole debate of Brunskill / Justin School, I think it's decided. It's going to be Brunskill. So if Joe Staley's still not in this week, which I don't think he's going to play this week, Brunskill's going to get the start, and then School's going to start long-term. However, long-term potential, I think Justin School's going to have, his upside is still far more than that of Daniel Brunskill. So something to keep in mind there. Western Richburg finishes number 5, 72.3, and Dante Pettis, number 6, even though I only got 7 snaps. 6 of those were run blocking snaps, and he got positive blocks. So trying to build his confidence up quickly through that. We'll see what happens. Now, the opposite side of that, the lowest ranked 49ers on offense, Ross Dwelley, only 5 snaps. Really, really interesting there that, he's filled in mightily, but Garrett Selleck outsnapped him 3-1. So Dwelley finished with a 44 grade, Kyle Juszczyk at 49.9, Garrett Selleck 54.1, School 55.6, and Raheem Mostert 57.1. Big reason why Mostert got that low of a score was pass protection on a few different plays. And then, so that's where he's at there. Overall, though, everybody graded out very, very positively. A lot of great things to take away just from a offense efficiency standard, but the number one thing is no major mistakes, no fumbles, no interceptions, and that's key. If you can play that way with the defense the 49ers have, great things are ahead. So the offense just has to be efficient, not great, and they're going to be fine. Allow your defense to be elite. And we're going to spend the next episode talking about the defense, but I want to get to a couple more of your questions real quick. John, if you were the 49ers DC, how would you defend the Ravens' run game? I think that the blueprint has been put out there. If you look at the playoffs last year with the Los Angeles Chargers, we saw exactly what needed to be done. And here's the thing. We look at the two teams. Let me pull this up here. If we look at the two teams that beat the Ravens this year, first off, the Browns, who were just mentioned, right? They completely just blew them out of the water. But they also lost again against the Chargers. Now, they lost against the Chargers last year, in the playoffs. And the Chargers, what they did was they brought in a whole bunch of safeties. They said, we don't need linebackers. We need safeties to stop this. Now, the 49ers have built this way. We have a lot of speed at the linebacker position, and I think that they're going to play relatively well. The Kansas City Chiefs also beat the Ravens 33-28 this year. So you had these two teams. They won back-to-back weeks. Since then, they've kind of gone on a tear. They've won 7 straight. They are playing great football. They have blown out 3 straight opponents. Really 4. Patriots, Bengals, Texans, Rams. Now it's us. We'll see what happens. This team is good. They have beat the Seahawks. They beat a lot of good teams, but they struggle with athletic defenses. So Jimmy Ward is coming off another great game. He's been up and down, but he played great this week. He is going to have to make a lot of plays on Lamar Jackson. Jaquiski Tartt's going to have to make a lot of plays on Lamar Jackson. So what you do is only bring 4 with pressure, but you have to press the outsides in the run game. So it's kind of countercultural to what you're taught as a defense schematically. Stop the run on the inside and then try to stretch things out the perimeter so that they have to decide to make a play. You can't do that. You have to force the edge. We have struggled mightily the past 2 years with outside contain. If that happens this week, we are going to be screwed. I will say that. But I do think the Niners are going to win this game. I really do think that we are the more complete team. The Ravens' formula is get out ahead and allow us to run the ball. If it's a close game, it's going to be difficult for them. So I really want a lot of people closer to the line of scrimmage than we do normally, and I hope we're walking Jaquiski Tartt up to the line quite often. And we'll do a whole bunch of line stunts to confuse Lamar Jackson into keeping the ball and then have a player scraping over the top for edge contain, which I think we can do. I really, really do. The Niners defense, it matches up very, very well. You look at what the New England Patriots defense, which is on a historic rate in and of itself, they're doing things from a much different defensive standpoint than we are. The Patriots have the great secondary. We have the great front 4. They don't have a great front 4. They bring a whole bunch of different looks defensively, but they're doing everything by great secondary play. We're doing it by front 4. So we should be able to stop the run a little bit more and be able to get after the quarterback a little more. So we'll do a whole entire episode on that, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. All right. If we assign a spy, do you think the 49ers would assign? Ideally, it'd be Jimmy Ward, to be honest with you. I think he's best suited for that. We haven't seen them do that. Ideally, it would be Fred Warner based on the lineup that we're doing now. So that's kind of key there. But Fred Warner, you got Azeez who might, but Elijah Lee, he's probably the most athletic linebacker that we have back there. He plays all 3 linebacker spots. Again, he played, started 4 games for us last year, but Elijah Lee might be the guy that you could do that with. So we'll have to see what happens. Any thoughts on Valuga replacing Demontre Moore? Yeah, that's huge. Unfortunately, Solomon Thomas got most of his snaps on the outside and again posted a very negative grade. He didn't come up with any negative plays, but no positive plays either, so that's huge. Can the 49ers gain any keys for victory from the Ravens' 2 losses? Yes, don't blitz. Do not blitz. If you bring pressure and miss, you are screwed. You have to limit everything that Lamar Jackson does to small positives, not the huge explosives. So you can't just bring the house against them. The 2 teams that beat them did not blitz often, but you got to make it count whenever you get back there. Do you think Joe plays? I do not. Joe Staley, I don't think that he's going to play this week. It's possible, but I don't think he should. I don't want to rush him back. We're not playing for this week. And here's another thing that's interesting. This week is not the most important game. It's not even the top 2 for the rest of the season. Now, for NFL power rankings, everybody's going to be talking about the Ravens, but no. the two most important games are still on the schedule. That's at the Saints, and that's number 2. The most important game is at Seattle Seahawks. Okay, so as far as pecking order of games we have to win, number 1 is at Seattle. Number 2 is at the Saints. Number 3 is at the Ravens. They're not a division opponent. They're not a conference opponent. Don't really affect. We could lose this game and still be the 1 seed in the NFL, or I mean in the NFC. So this game's important. And I'm not trying to say every game's important in the NFL, but if we lose this game, we're still the 1 seed. We own the tiebreaker for a division record with the Saints. So the first seed will be determined next week against the Saints. So that is the huge game. Do I want to win this game? Hell yeah. But this game is not what's so important. So because of that, I want to wait. Do not rush anybody back. Brunskill played great. Let's allow him to stay out there. We got School as a backup. I feel fine with that. Joe's old. Joe's like my age. So I want him to be fully healthy before we put him back out there. So should we be concerned about our pass rushers? Most of them are injured, and we are at the bottom of the barrel now. Yeah, we lost a lot quick. D Ford, with his hamstring and his knee, that's soft tissue. He should be back soon, possibly this week. We'll have to wait and see on Friday's practice. But this is why we have 5 first-round picks on that defensive line. We are just fine. I still love our defense, but yeah, we are missing some depth with Ronald Blair out. Now we've got Montre Moore out, so we're bringing in Valuga. We'll have to see what happens here. But I'm not too concerned about our safety depth or defensive line depth. Not too much. How will our run game hold up to the Ravens' defense? Is this going to be a game that the Niners rely on Jimmy? I think that we can run the ball fairly well against these guys. Really, really do. Baltimore's defense is good, but a lot of their stats are because they're blowing teams out to where they're one-dimensional. They have the fewest rushing attempts against them in the entire NFL, but it's not because their run defense is so great. They're allowing 4.3 yards per rush. It's because they blow them out because of Lamar Jackson, then teams become one-dimensional and throw the ball. I don't think that's going to happen to us because our defense will keep us in the game. So, yeah, I think we can run the ball just fine. Do you think Lamar is going to be a problem for our front 4? Yeah. Now, not so much our front 4, but our linebackers, yes. That is going to be key. Yeah, all things Niners, -6.5 I read earlier today. Depends on the sites you're on. They bounce around a lot. They have algorithms that adjust to the money to make sure that the house still wins. SB, can I get a parlay bet of the week? You betcha. I will have that out probably. I'm going on vacation this week with the fam, but I'm bringing my computer with me. I will be doing work when they go to bed. So even though it's Thanksgiving, I will still have a scouting report episode out probably Friday or Saturday. So the parlay bet of the week will be the main slate Sunday into Monday. Probably not going to do too much on Thursday besides that huge free bet with my bookie where you bet for free for $250. So yeah, I'll put together a parlay this week for you. Appreciate you asking on that. All right, I think that's going to kind of do it for us today. Really appreciate it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed going through the film and all that kind of stuff. That was a lot of fun. And just want to say thanks. Again, shout out to our sponsors, manscaped.com and mybookie.ag. Use promo code 49ers for both of those. And if you want access to those film breakdowns, which you just saw the video, but if you want the audio content and all the different stuff with that, please head over to Patreon account. Just look up 49ers Rush. Join us over there. Really would appreciate it. So thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate all you got. We will be back very, very soon in the next day or two, making sure we bring you guys that defensive breakdown, and then we'll be on to the Ravens. I know we jumped ahead a little bit just because we're all so damn excited, but great times to be a 49ers fan, and as always, stay strong, faithful.